Good morning, everyone. It is currently the 6th of December 2014, making this update right around 7 a.m. Philippine Standard Time. I hope everybody is faring well out ahead of the storm system. You can see on your screen, this is actually from a pass from the International Space Station. Just on the left side of this image, you can see the eye of Typhoon Hagupit already approaching the Philippines. Already starting to see a coastal storm surge come up here, and that is why we have been saying this storm system is still very dangerous. You can even see some low-lying homes right there along the immediate coast. This is coming out of Samar, where we are looking at that threat of storm surge and flooding. Some areas could see a surge as high as 3 to 4 meters high. Once again, this is still a violent typhoon. To the Japan Meteorological Agency, it actually became slightly less intense here on Friday, that is. Then it regained that intensity. Now pressure is back down to 950 HPA, winds of 105, gusting to 115 knots. I'll go ahead and put up on the screen the latest track basically from JMA here and show you what they're expecting at landfall. 185 gusting to 259 kilometers per hour for those of you who feel like that's a better scale. Now, this is from JMA, and I do want to note the other tracks from JTWC. They actually have it coming on shore farther towards the north, actually completely even missing Samar, and Bagasa has the storm system impacting central portions of the island. I have to say, with fair confidence, I think JTWC, the Joint Typhoon Warning Center, is too far north. Bagasa, probably the best track as far as this storm system, but the key thing I want to point out is you want to pay attention to that cone of air, because it still could very well track a little farther towards the north. We have a very low steering flow out here, and what I mean by that, we just do not have the compressed dynamics we saw last year with Typhoon Haiyan, where we are able to predict this storm system and basically exact point of landfall nearly 96 hours ahead of time. Now we're getting to 12 hours. There still is a big change here between agency guidance, and really at this time, just go with your official agency, the Philippine agency here for the Philippines, meteorologist on the ground watching the storm system, not somebody from the other side of the Pacific Ocean. Really, that's what I'm going to be saying on this at this point. As far as WesternPacificWeather.com, we actually have several people on the ground there continuing the track. Videographer James Reynolds, Twitter, and he's been posting some information. Actually, mentioned to him last night. He said he has made it out there towards Samar, but he's really driving past a lot of low-lying coastal cities here, already starting to see those high waves come up, as we just seen in that image a second ago. Compare the models. Now, this is from the ECMWF, the European model, just showing that point of landfall here just south of Oras, and I think that's one of the areas where you're going to be seeing that highest threat of storm surge. You have to remember, these areas with the winds coming on shore, that is where the worst of the weather will be. It's still going to wrap around, and you still could see a surge on the west coast. Tacloban, good news for you. Don't expect much of a surge situation here, but it is still going to be winds high enough to cause some damage. Now, this is this ECMWF. We can compare it with the GFS model. Only a really slightly difference in the landfall time, and I'll rewind it here back to basically Saturday evening, but their point of landfall very similar to the ECMWF model. So model guidance kind of coming in line with that landfall in central Samar. I think JTWC still farther towards the north, but Bagasa pretty much going with a pretty decent forecast at this time. Look at the size of the wind field, though, and this goes back to saying watch that cone of air, because the wind field extends far towards the north. Eventually, Legazpi, you're going to be hit with typhoon strength winds, very well likely, and then even farther towards the south across Cebu, gale force winds. And this storm system, as it tracks towards the west throughout the day on Sunday, it's going to be bringing these strong winds. So even if you are farther inland, do not be surprised if you go to signal force 3 or even 4. This is a total accumulation outlook from the ECMWF model, and you can kind of get a grasp of where the heaviest rainfall likely is to occur, specifically across parts of Samar. I think that much of these higher totals actually could be lifted a little bit farther towards the north based on the latest information we got. But regardless, even in these areas in reds, we're showing upwards of about 7 to 8 inches. We're talking about 200, 300 millimeters of precipitation. Some of the heavier areas, well over 500 to 600. Flooding and mudslides is going to be an issue with this storm. It is extremely slow moving. I mean, this is 108 hours. We're talking out towards Wednesday, if you can see that, and Thursday on the top of the screen here. And the storm only makes it out over the Philippine Sea by that time. That means, or excuse me, the West Philippine Sea. That means that during that entire duration, this storm system will be making its way over the country and just dropping rainfall across the area. I mentioned that threat of storm surge about 3 to 4 meters high, especially on the northern periphery, talking about the rainfall, the damaging winds. Here's one more factor we often tend to forget to touch on, and I just want to bring it up. See all these dots on this map here? This is actually the recent lightning strikes over the past 6 hours. Now, outside that center of circulation, there's just not enough instability here to create lightning. It's just a dynamics that typically goes on inside a typhoon. But some of those outer rain bands, they often do get quite unstable and quite convective. They could bring that threat of not only lightning, severe thunderstorms, and also water spouts and tornadoes. Even inside the storm system, you could still see that, but more so, I think, for those people well away from the center of circulation, you might be a little more laxed, and you see these strong storms here coming on shore well out towards Palawan. Those could be thunderstorm and also tornado producing cells, and even some of those could wrap around eventually and impact the Metro Manila area. So even though you're away from the center of circulation, it does have a wide-reaching impact. All for right now, everybody. Always remember to check in with your local official agencies at the website at the Tropical Information Center. We do have some information being posted there via Bagasa and also the JTWC and JMA tracks, but also we do show the Bagasa tracks plus signal force warnings. So go check that out. This is just some of the samples that we posted here during the morning update around 21 Universal Standard Time. All right, guys, that is all. As always, stay safe out there. Don't forget, we're going to be having a live cast at 01 UTC. That would be 10 a.m. Philippine Standard Time. So if you're watching this video prior to then, just go on the same YouTube channel, flip over. Myself, meteorologist Mike Adcock, Josh Morgan, you know him from last year's Typhoon High End, and also possibly Jim Eds and some of the other Westpac weather team will be joining in as well. So a whole slew of people. Stay safe out there, guys, and thanks for watching.